Good morning, Nigeria and the world at large. Welcome to the Seat of Life Television Global News Today. I am Abubakar James, and with me in the studio today is Monica Blessings. Monica, how are you today? How has your day been?
Thank you, Abubakar. How are you too? Good day, Nigeria and the world at large. I am Monica Blessings, your co-news anchor. We bring you the top stories shaping our nation and the world today. First, the main headlines. President Bola Tinubu declared that Nigeria will not disintegrate under his watch and urged Nigerians to stop divisive talk. Members of Nigeria's National Assembly called for unity and patriotism while marking Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary. The Nigeria Immigration Service has begun enforcing visa rules strictly, following the closure of the visa amnesty window on September 30th, targeting foreigners overstaying their visas with penalties including fines and removal. Discussions continue around reforms in the telecom sector, deemed important for President Tinubu's potential second term. Governor Fubara has dismissed commissioners affected by a recent Supreme Court verdict. The early morning fire at Bariga Market in Lagos State on October 1, 2025, has resulted in the destruction of 26 shops. The Lagos court recently sentenced 2 individuals to jail for impersonation and related fraudulent activities.
On security and crime, efforts continue to combat terrorism, banditry, and insurgency, with the president encouraging the Nigerian armed forces. The Nigeria police announced the rescue of 2 kidnapped Ghanaian nationals and arrested a key kidnapping syndicate. The police have begun enforcement of tinted glass permits nationwide starting today. On sports segments, President Tinubu is expected to receive officials and players of the victorious Super Falcons women's football team in Abuja following their dramatic win against Morocco. The 2025 Women's Nationwide Football Championship is scheduled to take place from October 10th to 17th, 2025, at the Bwari Township Stadium in Abuja, Federal Capital Territory.
On the foreign scene, the U.S. federal government has officially entered a shutdown due to the failure of the Senate to pass a critical funding bill, affecting hundreds of thousands of non-essential workers. The global Sumud flotilla, comprising over 40 civilian vessels and about 500 activists from 37 countries, was intercepted by Israeli naval forces around 70 nautical miles off Gaza's coast while attempting to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. Israel has issued a last opportunity warning for residents to leave Gaza City, as its military tightens the siege and ongoing operations aimed at isolating Hamas forces. A 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck the Philippines, causing at least 22 deaths, and a tsunami alert was issued but later lifted. Let us quickly go on a short commercial break, and when we are back, we shall do justice to all the headlines one after the other. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please kindly hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to receive up-to-date news from this SOLTV daily. Also, like, share, and comment on our work to encourage us to do more. Happy listening.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has declared that Nigeria will not disintegrate under his watch, urging Nigerians to stop talking about division and to embrace unity and patriotism. He emphasized this message during Nigeria's 65th Independence Day celebrations, affirming that the country has turned the corner and that the worst of its difficulties is behind it. Tinubu reflected on Nigeria's history, mentioning the civil war, military rule, and political turmoil, but stressed the resilience and bravery of the Nigerian people in overcoming these challenges. He highlighted significant economic improvements such as a GDP growth rate of 4.23% in the second quarter of 2025, the fastest in 4 years, and a drop in inflation to 20.12%, the lowest in 3 years. Tinubu also spoke about increased oil production, trade surpluses, and rising foreign reserves. The president acknowledged the hardships caused by necessary economic reforms, including the removal of fuel subsidies and exchange rate unification, but defended these measures as essential for long-term stability and growth. Additionally, the president called for Nigerians to focus on rebuilding the nation's infrastructure, roads, schools, hospitals, and urged citizens to remain united, patient, and optimistic about the future. He condemned divisive speech that undermines national progress and emphasized the importance of collective effort to realize Nigeria's full potential. Key themes of his message included national unity, economic recovery, social investments, job creation, and hope for a better Nigeria ahead.
In addition, the members of Nigeria's National Assembly emphasized unity, patriotism, and hope as the nation marked its 65th independence anniversary. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas, called for Nigerians to work together beyond ethnic, religious, and political differences to build a greater, united Nigeria. Speaker Abbas, in particular, is regarded as a patriotic leader dedicated to Nigeria's progress. He focuses on promoting integrity, transparent governance, economic diversification, and social reforms aligned with the nation's aspirations. His legislative agenda supports peace-building, infrastructure development, healthcare, education, and job creation, fostering a sense of shared identity and national cohesion. Governors and other leaders echoed these calls by emphasizing the importance of mutual understanding, peaceful coexistence, the rule of law, and collective effort in nation building. They praised President Tinubu's leadership and economic reforms but warned that everyone must contribute to making Nigeria stronger. There were also acknowledgments of Nigeria's resilience through decades of challenges and calls for ongoing dedication to reforms, security, and economic development to ensure a prosperous future for all Nigerians. The overall theme embraced cooperation, unity, and patriotism as crucial pillars for the continued progress and stability of Nigeria.
The Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, has begun enforcement actions against foreign nationals who have overstayed their visas or violated entry conditions. Following the expiration of the federal government's expired visa initiative, Amnesty program on September 30, 2025. The Amnesty program allowed foreigners with expired immigration status to regularize their stay in Nigeria without penalties during the grace period, which started in May 2025 and was extended to the end of September. Effective October 1, 2025, the enforcement targets the following categories of foreigners: holders of expired visa on arrival, VOA, holders of expired single and multiple entry short visit or business visas, holders of expired comprehensive expatriate residence permit and automated card, CRPAT. Penalties for overstaying vary based on the duration. Less than 3 months overstay, removal, a $15 per day fine or a 2-year entry ban. 3 months to 1 year overstay, removal, a $15 per day fine or a 5-year entry ban. Over 1 year, removal, a 10-year entry ban or permanent ban. Foreign nationals violating Nigeria's immigration laws will face sanctions including payment of penalties, deportation, and restrictions on future entry. The NIS highlighted that this enforcement is necessary to safeguard national security, maintain order in the immigration system, and ensure lawful migration. The service remains committed to transparency, efficiency, and protecting national interests in immigration matters.
The Nigerian government has launched several key job creation and empowerment programs in 2025 focused on tackling unemployment and equipping citizens with skills for the evolving economy. 1. Labor Employment and Empowerment Program, LEP, officially launched in April 2025, LEP targets creating 2.5 million jobs over 2 years. 2. Revised National Employment Policy, NEP, 2025. Launched in August 2025 with support from the International Labour Organization, ILO, and other international partners. 3. Other initiatives of the government at combating unemployment include: vocational and entrepreneurship programs target skill development to help Nigerians create and sustain businesses. Job creation efforts include formal and informal sectors, promoting private sector-led employment and self-employment. Partnerships with development agencies and international bodies boost capacity building and labor market reforms. These strategic efforts reflect the government's commitment to addressing high youth unemployment and underemployment with a future-fit, skills-driven approach aimed at broad economic empowerment and growth. 4. Discussions around reforms in Nigeria's telecom sector are focused on regulatory and structural changes aimed at boosting investment, expanding infrastructure, and improving service quality, which are seen as critical for securing President Tinubu's potential second term. 5. Key points on the telecom reforms include: 6. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has implemented tariff adjustments, restoring cost-reflective pricing for the first time in over a decade. This helped unlock billions in new investments and accelerated the rollout of 4G, 5G, and fiber optic networks.
As part of the efforts of the Nigerian government towards drastically reducing unemployment, regulatory reforms have introduced stricter governance frameworks for telecom operators, including enhanced board oversight, risk management, and transparency measures targeted at the $70 billion industry serving over 170 million subscribers. Consumer protection has been strengthened with clearer tariff guidelines, simplified pricing, and performance standards, leading to better service quality and resolution of customer complaints. Efforts to curb sector leakages with the revenue assurance solution and improve tax administration and subscriber database integrity are underway. Despite progress, challenges like vandalism of infrastructure, enforcement gaps, and unequal rural connectivity remain. Proposed solutions include better interagency cooperation, incentives for local manufacturing, and focused rural engagement. The NCC aims to increase the telecom sector's contribution to Nigeria's GDP from over 16% currently to 22% by 2027, driven by broadband expansion, cost reduction, and innovation stimulation. These reforms are seen as pivotal to Nigeria's digital economy and are regarded as key achievements under Tinubu's administration that could boost his re-election prospects by fostering economic growth and digital inclusion.
On security and crime. Efforts to combat terrorism, banditry, and insurgency in Nigeria have intensified, with the Nigerian armed forces carrying out coordinated operations across various regions. Recent military offensives have led to the neutralization of numerous terrorists, rescue of kidnapped victims, and the arrests of criminal collaborators. Between late September 2025, Nigerian army battalions operating mainly in Borno, Adamawa, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Katsina states successfully eliminated insurgents from Boko Haram and ISWAP factions, seized weapons, including multiple AK-47 rifles, ammunition, and caches of illegally refined crude oil. These operations disrupted terror camps and logistics supply routes, significantly weakening terrorist groups. President Bola Tinubu praised the armed forces for their gallantry, highlighting how peace has been restored in hundreds of communities in the northwest and northeast, enabling thousands of internally displaced persons to return home safely. He emphasized that security forces are winning the battle against terrorism, banditry, and violent crimes, including IPOB/ESN threats in the southeast. The military's multi-front approach includes clearing insurgent enclaves, foiling terror attacks, intercepting logistic supplies, and collaborating with local vigilantes. This ongoing campaign aligns with government commitments toward enhancing national security, promoting socio-economic recovery, and fostering sustainable development. The defense minister also called for stronger regional security cooperation through ECOWAS and the Sahel, advocating intelligence sharing, joint military operations, and addressing terrorism's root causes by investing in education and youth empowerment. Overall, the Nigerian government and armed forces continue to make dedicated efforts to eradicate terrorism and restore peace, which is critical for national stability and economic growth.
Still on security and crime, the Nigeria Police Force, in a coordinated cross-border operation, rescued a 24-year-old Ghanaian national who had been trafficked into Nigeria under a fraudulent travel scheme promising relocation to Canada. The rescue took place in Ofada, Ogun State, following a formal request for assistance from the National Central Bureau (NCB) Accra on September 15, 2025. Preliminary investigations revealed that the victim and his father were trafficked by Hassana Aban, a 25-year-old Ghanaian woman residing in Ofada. Aban had collected around 40,000 Ghanaian cedis, approximately 4.96 million, from the family under the pretense of facilitating their travel to Canada. Upon arrival in Nigeria, their passports and mobile phones were confiscated, and they were forced to work on suspected fraudulent online trading platforms. Following intelligence sharing with Interpol Accra, Nigerian police operatives tracked and freed the victims on September 16, 2025. The operation led to the arrest of Hassana Aban and 4 accomplices: Odubuasi David, Nigerian; Yahaya Salifu, Sharifa Haruna, and Ebenezer Ofosu, all Ghanaians. The suspects are in custody as investigations continue. Additionally, the Nigeria Police Intelligence Response Team earlier rescued 2 other kidnapped Ghanaian nationals and dismantled a key cross-border kidnapping syndicate. This syndicate operated sophisticated scams, including Facebook love scams, with members arrested in both Nigeria and Ghana. Victims were held under harsh conditions, but police interventions have ensured their safe recovery and ongoing legal actions against the criminals. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun commended the professionalism of the officers involved and reiterated the police force's firm stance against transnational crimes, emphasizing ongoing collaboration with international partners to combat human trafficking and related offenses.
The Nigeria Police Force, NPF, under the directive of Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, commenced full enforcement of the Tinted Glass Permit, TGP, nationwide on October 2, 2025. This enforcement aligns with the Motor Vehicles, Prohibition of Tinted Glass, Act, 2004, which serves as a vital security regulation designed to curb criminal activities and enhance public safety. Key details of the enforcement include: the grace period previously given to motorists for obtaining or renewing their tinted glass permits has expired. All vehicles with tinted glasses must now present valid and verifiable TGP documents upon demand by police enforcement officers. Routine checks will be conducted nationwide, starting with designated enforcement teams in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, and Niger State. Motorists operating vehicles without approved and valid tinted glass permits risk vehicle impoundment and legal prosecution. The enforcement process is supported by an official online portal, www.pasepe.gov.ng, where motorists can apply for or renew their permits. The police urge residents to cooperate fully with enforcement personnel as part of a collective effort to ensure national security and public safety. The NPF has warned against extortion, hidden charges, or unauthorized processing in permit applications and provided hotlines for reporting such abuses. The police emphasize that compliance is a legal duty and crucial for safeguarding citizens. This enforcement is expected to help reduce the misuse of tinted windows by criminals who rely on them to evade surveillance during illegal activities.
Still on that report on the tinted glass permit, the nationwide implementation of the tinted glass permit enforcement marks a significant step in strengthening traffic law enforcement and security standards across Nigeria. To obtain a tinted glass permit, TGP, in Nigeria, motorists must submit certain required documents and follow a structured application process through the official police portal, pthabat.gov.ng. The essential documents typically required include valid vehicle registration number and vehicle identification details, proof of vehicle ownership or valid driver's license, evidence of vehicle insurance, passport-sized photographs of the vehicle and/or owner, payment receipt of the TGP application fee, paid online, completed online application form via the police-authorized portal. The police advise applicants to avoid third-party interventions or paying informal fees outside the official platform to ensure transparency and prevent extortion. Applicants undergo verification to ensure compliance with Nigeria's Motor Vehicles Prohibition of Tinted Glass Act 2004, confirming that the vehicle's tinted glass does not exceed legally allowed limits, usually 50% light transmittance minimum. Once approved, the TGP document is issued, which motorists must carry in their vehicle at all times for presentation during police checks. Non-compliance or possession of an invalid or fake permit leads to penalties, including vehicle impoundment or legal action. For full details and application, motorists should refer to the official Nigerian police online platform to ensure correct documentation and adherence to the legal process for obtaining the TGP. We shall now go on a short break, and when we are back, you shall be brought up to speed about happenings in some of our states. However, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please take the time now to do that. Press the subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, and make your comments. Thank you.
Welcome back from that short break. Here are some happenings in a few of the states of the Federation. We begin with Rivers State. The Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has dismissed all commissioners and other public officers in his administration whose appointments were affected by a recent Supreme Court judgment. This decision was announced during a valedictory session held on Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary at Government House, Port Harcourt. The Supreme Court's ruling affirmed the authenticity of the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Speaker Martins Amewul, and deemed the rival faction led by Victor Okojumbo unlawful. Since many of Fubara's commissioners were screened and confirmed by the invalidated faction, their appointments were legally nullified. Affected commissioners include notable figures such as Ibaroma Dagogo, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Charles O. Beek, Collins Onanwo, Solomon Eek, and several others. Over 19 commissioners in total were impacted. The ruling also invalidated various legislative decisions made during the factional crisis in the state, including budget approvals and confirmations of commissioners. Fubara thanked the dismissed officials for their service and called for unity among Nigerians, urging collaboration with President Bola Tinubu to build a peaceful and prosperous country. He also reaffirmed his dedication to govern Rivers State with renewed vigor amid this transitional phase. This development follows the lifting of emergency rule in Rivers State imposed by President Tinubu earlier in 2025, which had suspended the governor and the legislature for 6 months due to political tensions. With the emergency rule lifted, the legitimate House of Assembly resumed and requested a fresh list of nominees from the governor for legislative approval.
Reactions from Rivers State Assembly and opposition leaders to Governor Fubara's dismissal of commissioners, linked to the recent Supreme Court verdict and broader political conflicts, have been mixed and intense. The Rivers State House of Assembly members loyal to the legitimate faction, led by Speaker Martins Amewul, generally support the move, seeing it as a necessary step to align the executive appointments with the Supreme Court ruling validating their authority. They accuse the dismissed commissioners of being illegally confirmed by the rival faction during the political crisis. Opposition leaders, particularly from the People's Democratic Party and other opposition groups, have criticized the broader context leading to the dismissals, especially the state of emergency imposed in Rivers State earlier in 2025 by President Tinubu, which suspended Governor Fubara and the Assembly. They regard these actions as unconstitutional and detrimental to democracy in Rivers State. Prominent opposition figures like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and PDP governors have vowed to legally challenge the emergency rule and related government actions, arguing that these undermine Nigeria's democratic principles. Within the National Assembly, opposition lawmakers such as Senator Siriake Dixon and Senator Ireti Kingibe opposed the emergency rule and criticized the manner of its approval, claiming it lacked constitutional basis and due process. Meanwhile, the ruling APC defended the emergency declaration as necessary for peace and good governance. Among the Rivers State Elders and Leaders Council, there have been concerns about the whereabouts and status of Governor Fubara during the political turmoil, but family sources confirmed he is alive and well. In summary, the dismissal of commissioners reflects court-validated political control by one faction of the Assembly, while opposition leaders continue to challenge the legality of the emergency rule.
From Lagos State, the early morning fire at Bariga Market in Lagos State on October 1, 2025, resulted in the destruction of 26 shops. The fire reportedly started around 4:05 a.m. in a shop selling key clamps, roofing materials, and quickly spread to other stalls due to the wooden partitions that supported the market shops, which are highly flammable. Emergency responders, including the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Lagos Response Unit, LRU, paramedics, and the Nigeria Police Force, responded promptly to the distress call. They arrived at the scene by 4:25 a.m. and worked collaboratively to extinguish the fire and prevent it from spreading to other parts of the market. Fortunately, no lives were lost, and no injuries were reported. However, the fire destroyed goods and properties worth millions of naira, affecting primarily key clamp shops. The cause of the fire has not yet been determined. LASEMA's permanent secretary, Dr. Olufemi Damilola Okoseni-Intolu, noted that the quick response by emergency services helped contain the inferno before it could escalate further. After extinguishing the fire, the affected area was dampened down, and operations were concluded to prevent secondary incidents. This fire incident adds to a pattern of recurring fire outbreaks in Lagos markets, often linked to the close proximity of stalls, flammable partition materials, and electrical faults. Market leaders have appealed to the government for assistance to help the traders recover from their losses.
Still from Lagos State. The Lagos court recently sentenced 2 individuals to jail for impersonation and related fraudulent activities. Ugwu Pascal Chijioke and Ibrahim Sadiq Adekunle were sentenced to a total of 46 years imprisonment by Justice O.O. Abiki Fadip of the Special Offenses Court in Ikeja. They were convicted for impersonating operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and executing a fake court order. Their arrest followed an illegal operation in May 2021, where fake EFCC identity cards, jackets, and a purported court order were recovered. They faced charges including impersonation, attempt to obtain property by false pretense, possession of fraudulent documents, and unlawful wearing of EFCC uniforms. The sentence reflects the gravity of these offenses in Lagos courts. In addition, a man named Tobor Efeturi, God's Power, was sentenced by Justice Akintayo Aluko of the Federal High Court, Ikoyi, Lagos, to 8 years imprisonment for impersonation. He fraudulently impersonated a military man and held himself out as a crypto account manager, having pleaded guilty. The court also ordered the forfeiture of exhibits, including laptops, mobile phones, and fraudulent documents. He received 4 years imprisonment on each of 2 counts, with an option to pay fines instead. These cases demonstrate the Lagos court's strict stance on impersonation crimes, with significant prison terms and forfeiture of fraudulent items ordered to deter such offenses. We shall now go on a short sports break, and when we are back, our sports correspondent, Samuel Adebayo, will bring us to happenings in the world of sports. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please take the time now to do that. Press the subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, and make your comments. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the sports segment of the Seed of Life television. I am Adebayo Samuel. The Nigerian Super Falcons made a dramatic and remarkable comeback to defeat Morocco 3-2 in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON, final held on July 25, 2025, at the Stade Olympique in Rabat. This victory marked Nigeria's 10th WAFCON title, fulfilling their Mission X to secure the trophy for the 10th time. In the match, Morocco took an early 2-0 lead, with goals by Ghislaine Chebok and Sana Msudi in the first half. However, Nigeria's resilience shone in the second half as they fought back. Esther Okoronkwo scored a penalty to give Nigeria hope, followed by a goal from Folashade Ijamalusi to level the score at 2-2. The winning goal came in the 88th minute from substitute Jennifer Echegini, sealing a thrilling comeback victory for the Super Falcons. President Bola Tinubu is expected to receive the victorious Super Falcons and officials in Abuja to celebrate their triumphant achievement. The team's victory not only reaffirmed Nigeria's dominance in African women's football, but also brought pride and joy to the nation after an intensely competitive tournament. The players' exceptional skill, determination, and teamwork were widely praised, and the president congratulated them on their success, highlighting their importance as ambassadors for Nigerian sport and inspiration to young athletes across the country. Furthermore, the 2025 Women's Nationwide Football Championship is scheduled to take place from October 10th to 17th, 2025, at the Buhari Township Stadium in Abuja, Federal Capital Territory. The tournament will feature 10 teams divided into 2 groups of 5, providing a vital platform for emerging clubs to showcase their potential and advance through the Women's Football League structure in Nigeria. The NWFL Chief Operating Officer, Modupe Shabi, highlighted the competition's importance for clubs aspiring to climb the league ladder, committing to ensuring the tournament is competitive, transparent, and successful. The tournament schedule includes team arrivals and a pre-match technical meeting on October 10th, followed by matches from October 11th, continuing on October 13th, 14th, 16th, and 17th, with rest days on October 12th and 15th. The two best teams from each group will earn promotion to the NWFL Championship, a significant incentive for participating clubs. The teams in Group A include Oskleen FC Rivers, Rangers Women FC Enugu, Plateau Queens FC Plateau, Dream Stars Ladies FC Lagos, and C2E Sports Academy Abia. The team in Group B consists of Sporting Angels FC Rivers, Alexander Queens FC Enugu, Rosaria Victrix FC Imo, NAF Queens FC Abuja, and Solo Wonders FC Akwa Ibom. This week-long event promises exciting women's football action as clubs compete for promotion and honors in Nigeria's growing women's football league system. This is how far we can go on our national sport news today. Let us join the news studio for other news. This is how far we can go on SOLTV Sport News. Let us now go on a short break, and when we are back, we will join Abu Bakar and Monica in the news studio for the foreign news. Thank you.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome back from the world of sports and thank you, Samuel. On the foreign scene, the global Sumud flotilla, comprising over 40 civilian vessels and about 500 activists from 37 countries, was intercepted by Israeli naval forces around 70 nautical miles off Gaza's coast while attempting to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. The flotilla carried food, medicine, and humanitarian aid, along with foreign activists, including lawmakers, military veterans, and notable figures like Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, who was seen on a ship deck under military guard. Israeli forces boarded and took control of at least 13 vessels, detaining the activists and transporting them to Israel under legal processes, though the exact details remain uncertain due to Israel's Yom Kippur holiday at the time. Israel justified the interception by asserting its right to enforce a naval blockade to prevent weapons smuggling, a stance contested by activists and international critics who deem such interceptions in international waters illegal. The flotilla sparked global protests in cities such as Istanbul, Athens, Berlin, and Buenos Aires, with countries like Turkey, Malaysia, and Colombia condemning Israel's actions. The flotilla had started its journey in late August 2025 from Spain, stopping in Greece and Tunisia, and faced hostile encounters at sea before interception. Israel's long-standing blockade on Gaza has been a source of international controversy and conflict since 2007. This event marks one of the largest recent maritime efforts to challenge the blockade and highlights the ongoing humanitarian and political tensions in the region.
The latest official statements from Israel and the global Sumud flotilla organizers reveal contrasting perspectives on the recent interception of the flotilla vessels by Israeli naval forces. Israel's official stance, communicated by its foreign ministry, is that the interception was lawful and necessary to enforce a naval blockade established since Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007. Israel stated that it acted to prevent the flotilla, which it alleges has ties to Hamas, from reaching Gaza, citing security concerns. The ministry emphasized that multiple vessels were safely stopped and detained passengers, including prominent activists like Greta Thunberg, were transferred to an Israeli port with plans for deportation. Israel urged the flotilla to offload humanitarian aid at Israeli ports for proper delivery, an offer rejected by the organizers. Israeli officials dismissed the flotilla mission as a provocative publicity stunt rather than a genuine humanitarian effort and accused the flotilla of violating a lawful blockade and entering an active combat zone. On the other hand, the flotilla organizers condemned the interception as illegal, characterizing the actions as an assault on unarmed humanitarians in international waters. They denied any connections to Hamas, refuting Israeli accusations. The organizers claimed Israeli forces disrupted their communications and used water cannons during the boarding. They maintain that the mission's goal is peaceful humanitarian aid delivery to break the blockade that severely restricts food and medicine to Gaza civilians. The flotilla activists and supporters see the naval blockade as unlawful and a cause of the ongoing humanitarian crisis. The Israeli government and flotilla organizers thus remain sharply opposed on the legality and intent of the flotilla, with global attention focused on the complex humanitarian and geopolitical dimensions of the incident.
Still in the Middle East, Israel has issued a last opportunity evacuation warning for all residents of Gaza City amid intensifying military operations aimed at isolating Hamas forces. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz stated that all Palestinians must leave Gaza City immediately or face the full force of Israel's offensive, framing those who remain as terrorists or supporters of terror. This evacuation order follows the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, capturing the Netzarim corridor, a strategic axis that splits Gaza, effectively tightening the siege on Gaza City. Residents evacuating Gaza City are urged to move southward through Israeli checkpoints, but the routes remain dangerous due to ongoing shelling and airstrikes. Human rights organizations have condemned the forced displacement and warned that targeting civilians who do not leave might violate international law. Meanwhile, the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, has suspended its operations in Gaza City due to escalating violence. The announcement coincides with Hamas evaluating a ceasefire proposal by U.S. President Donald Trump, which includes Hamas releasing all hostages, disarming, and transferring governance. However, key Hamas officials have expressed reservations, describing some demands as unacceptable. The Israeli military insists the offensive will continue until all hostages are freed, Hamas is disarmed, and the war ends. This is regarded as a critical phase in the nearly two-year-long conflict, with the Israeli government emphasizing that the offensive targets Hamas militants, while the civilian population's evacuation is meant to minimize casualties. However, ongoing bombardments and humanitarian concerns remain severe inside Gaza City.
The U.S. federal government officially entered a shutdown starting at midnight on October 1, 2025, due to the Senate's failure to pass a critical funding bill for the 2026 fiscal year. The shutdown resulted from partisan deadlock primarily between President Donald Trump's Republican Party and Democrats over federal spending levels, foreign aid, and healthcare subsidies, especially tax credits under the Affordable Care Act. About 900,000 federal employees have been furloughed, put on temporary unpaid leave, while approximately 700,000 government workers are required to work without guaranteed pay. Essential services like Medicare, Medicaid, and transportation security continue, but many agencies, such as the National Institutes of Health, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and programs like WIC, face suspensions or disruptions. The shutdown is the 21st funding gap and 11th government shutdown in modern U.S. history, the third under President Trump, and the first since the 2018-2019 shutdown. Negotiations have been ongoing but inconclusive. Democrats demand maintaining healthcare subsidies for millions and oppose proposed budget cuts, framing the impasse around protecting access to health insurance. Republicans want to enforce spending cuts and fiscal restraint. The shutdown is causing significant economic and social disruption, including possible closure of government offices and delays in federal services. While President Trump has threatened irreversible actions against federal employees and vows to continue immigration enforcement despite the shutdown. The duration remains uncertain, with senators departing for recess, so services and operations will likely remain widely impacted at least into mid-October without a resolution.
A powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck the central Philippines late on September 30, 2025, at 9:59 p.m. local time, centered offshore near Bogo City in Cebu Province. The tremor had a shallow depth of about 5 to 10 kilometers, which contributed to the severe shaking and extensive damage across the Visayan Islands, including Cebu, Leyte, and Biliran provinces. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, PHIVOLCS, issued a tsunami alert for these coastal provinces, but the warning was lifted early on October 1 after no abnormal wave activity was detected. The earthquake caused at least 69 reported deaths and more than 200 injuries, primarily in Bogo City and nearby towns such as Medellin and San Remigio. The death toll included civilians as well as several officials in a collapsed sports complex during a basketball game. The quake heavily damaged infrastructure including homes, commercial buildings, and historical sites, with numerous power outages reported. Rescue and relief operations have been underway, with emergency teams searching for survivors amid aftershocks, 349 recorded ranging from magnitude 1.4 to 4.8, expected to continue. Over 111,600 people have been affected, more than 20,000 displaced, many staying outside evacuation centers. Hospitals in Cebu were overwhelmed by the influx of injured. Relief efforts included deployment of medical teams and support from the Coast Guard and Air Force. This natural disaster came amid other weather challenges as Tropical Depression Paolo moved over the Philippine Sea, with concerns about rain and additional impact on disaster recovery efforts. The government declared parts of Cebu province in a state of calamity to facilitate emergency response and resource mobilization to aid affected residents.
This is how far we can go today on this segment. Stay with us as we bring you daily global news from this channel. Thank you for watching the Seed of Life Global News Hour. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Like, share, and comment on the videos. Please be reminded that our other transmission continues by 7 p.m. West African time today. Before then, the programs shall be rolled out on our social media platforms. Have a great day.